Before we begin, if you believe in love that grows deeper with time, if you believe relationships can evolve instead of expire, and if you want stories that remind you what connection really feels like, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell, and join this little corner of the internet where we talk about real love, real conversations, and real growth. Now let me tell you what happened last Thursday night, because it changed everything. Thursday evenings have always been sacred in our house. There's nothing particularly glamorous about them. No fancy reservations. No grand gestures. Just me, my husband Ken, a simple dinner we cook together, and our ritual of collapsing onto the sofa with 2 glasses of wine while an old sitcom plays in the background. For years, that show has been Friends. We've seen every episode more times than I can count. We know the punchlines. We anticipate the pauses. We laugh at jokes before they're finished. And somehow it never gets old. There's something comforting about familiarity, about knowing what's coming next, about the predictability of laughter at exactly the right moment. At least, that's what I thought. Because last Thursday something shifted. It started like any other evening. We cleaned up the kitchen together, Ken drying the dishes while I wiped down the counters. He always hums while he dries plates. Off-key, unapologetically. I've teased him about it for over a decade, but secretly, it's one of my favorite sounds in the world. We settled into our usual spots on the sofa. I curled my legs underneath me. He stretched his out. The wine was poured. The theme song began. But somewhere between the first and second episode, I noticed it. Ken wasn't laughing the way he usually does. His smile was there, but softer. Distant. His brow furrowed slightly, as though his mind was somewhere else entirely. He kept glancing at me, not in the distracted way someone checks the time, but in a way that felt intentional. I felt it before he said anything. You know that feeling? When the air shifts ever so slightly. When your intuition whispers, pay attention. Halfway through the second episode, he reached for my hand. His fingers were cool. Mine were warm from holding the wine glass. The contrast startled me a little. He didn't look at the television. He looked at me. And those brown eyes, the same ones that made my 26-year-old heart flip when I first met him, were carrying something heavy. Elizabeth, he said quietly. That tone. Not urgent. Not angry. But serious. Can we talk? My heart immediately skipped, then thudded hard against my ribs. When someone you love says, "Can we talk?" it rarely means, "Let's discuss our grocery list." Still, I tried to keep my voice steady. Of course. He paused the television. The sudden silence in the room felt louder than the laugh track ever had. "I've been thinking about us," he began slowly. "Nothing's wrong. I love you more than ever. But I've realized something I've been keeping from you." Keeping from me? Ken. The man who tells me when he's stressed about work. Who admits when he's anxious. Who has always seemed emotionally open. I blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" He squeezed my hand, then stood up. He started pacing in front of the coffee table, not dramatically, just thoughtfully. Like he was trying to find the exact right words. "I've always tried to be the man I thought you needed," he said. "Strong. Steady. Reliable. The rock." He stopped walking. "But I've never shown you the parts of me that didn't feel like that." I felt my chest tighten, not with fear, but with curiosity. "Ken," I said gently, "you can tell me anything." He nodded. "I want us to do something different," he continued. "I want us to step outside the routine. Just for a night. Strip away the habits. The roles. The expectations. I want us to sit down and tell each other the things we've been too afraid to say." I tried to lighten the mood. "So what? Role-playing? Secret confessions?" I teased. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. No games. Just honesty. There it was. Raw and unfiltered. I set my wine glass down. "Okay," I whispered. We turned off the television completely. No background noise. No distractions. We shifted on the sofa until we were facing each other, knees almost touching. It felt oddly formal. Like 2 strangers meeting for the first time. Or maybe 2 people rediscovering each other. Ken went first. "When we met," he said, I was terrified of you. I laughed. Terrified. You were confident. Driven. You had this energy that filled a room. I felt like some small-town guy trying to keep up. I spent the first year of our relationship convinced you'd eventually realize you could do better. My heart softened. I thought you were out of my league, he admitted. And suddenly, all the years between us melted away. Because I remembered that girl. The one who pretended she wasn't nervous. The one who thought Ken was calm, collected, emotionally mature in ways she hadn't quite figured out yet. I felt the same, I confessed. I thought you had everything under control. I was scared you'd see how messy I really was. He leaned forward. There's more. He swallowed. For years, I felt like I had to be the strong one, the stable one. When you were stressed, I steadied you. When life felt chaotic, I tried to hold it together. But there were so many moments when I was scared too. Lost. Unsure. I just didn't know how to admit that without feeling like I was failing you. His voice cracked slightly. And something inside me broke open. You never had to be perfect for me, I said, reaching up to touch his face. I never needed a rock. I needed you. Tears welled in his eyes. And then it was my turn. I told him about the quiet loneliness that sometimes creeps in when you've been in a long-term relationship. Not because the love is gone, but because the routine gets louder than the passion. I admitted that sometimes I missed the spontaneity of our early years. The random road trips. The way we'd stay up until 2 a.m. talking about dreams that felt endless. I missed the version of me who believed anything was possible. I said softly. And sometimes I'm afraid she's disappeared. Ken reached for my hands. She hasn't, he said firmly. She's just waiting to be invited back. We talked for hours. About fears we never voiced. About insecurities we masked with competence. About how easy it is to slip into roles. Husband, wife, provider, organizer. And forget that underneath those titles are two human beings still evolving. It was messy, vulnerable, uncomfortable at moments. But it was also the most alive I felt in years. And then Ken said something that changed everything. I don't want this to be a one-time conversation, he said. I want us to promise that once a month, we sit down like this. No distractions. No pretending. Just honesty. I nodded immediately. But he wasn't finished. And I want us to try new things together, he continued. Not just talk about them. Actually do them. Take a class. Plan a trip. Dance in the kitchen. Say yes to something that scares us a little. I don't want us to become a couple that just coexists. I want us to keep growing. That's when the tears spilled over. Not because something was wrong, but because something was so deeply right. How rare is it to have someone fight not just for comfort, but for growth? We held each other for a long time. Later, we put on an old jazz playlist. No grand choreography. Just barefoot swaying on the wooden floor. We laughed when we stepped on each other's toes. We pulled each other closer when the music slowed. There was no plan. No expectation. Just two people remembering why they chose each other in the first place. The next morning, I woke up before him. Sunlight filtered through the curtains. For a moment, I wondered if the night before had been a dream. Then I saw it. A folded piece of paper on my pillow. In Ken's slightly slanted handwriting, it read, "Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for choosing to grow with me. You've given me more than you'll ever know." I pressed the note to my chest, and something felt different. Not dramatically, not explosively, just deeper, like the foundation of our marriage had quietly strengthened overnight. We still watched our sitcom reruns this Thursday. We still poured wine. We still laughed at the same old jokes. But now there's something new between us. An agreement. A promise. A willingness to peel back layers instead of adding more. And here's what I realized. Love doesn't fade because time passes. It fades when conversations stop. When vulnerability feels inconvenient. When routine replaces curiosity. That night, we chose curiosity. We chose honesty over comfort. Growth over autopilot. Connection over assumption. And it changed everything. If you're in a relationship, whether it's been 1 year or 20, maybe ask yourself this. When was the last time you truly saw each other? Not as roles. Not as responsibilities. but as evolving human beings with new fears, new dreams, new depths. Maybe it's time to pause the show, set down the wine, turn toward each other, and ask, can we talk? Because sometimes, the most ordinary Thursday night can become the one that rewrites your love story. If this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and let me know. When was the last time you and your partner had a conversation that changed everything? I'll see you in the next story.